So I had a user who requested that I scale one of my models to be bigger. And by bigger, I mean way bigger. Well, I scaled it up and then I plopped the parts into my slicer, and you can probably tell that this is the original, this is the big one. There's gonna be a lot of filament used, especially when he has to make 15 of these boxes. So that got me thinking, instead of just sending him the STL files for the new scaled up model, why don't we optimize it so you can also learn how to save money and save time by reducing the amount of filament needed for your prints. So let's get to optimizing. Of course, these are just for demonstration, so we don't need them. First thing we want to do is understand what the use case is. And to understand the use case better, I drew this picture in Paint, and this shows that he wants them stacked in rows of 5, and he wants 3 of these rows. On top of that, since the print is so big, I had to custom make these connector pieces and basically feet for this box system. So he's going to need 8 of these big ones and 4 of these smaller ones. So when I plop this in my slicer and I press slice all with basically default settings apart from having 3 wall loops, we can see that we start off with 1053 grams of filament and an estimated print time of 1 day, 7 hours and 7 minutes. So even though this 1 kilo of filament and more than a day's print time is nothing to laugh at, he's gonna have to do it 15 times. So we definitely want to do something about the filament use and the print time. If we go back to this drawing here, we can see that most of the stress is going to be on the bottom row, and most of that weight is going to be carried by these side walls here. Since we can see that most of the weight is supported by this outside case, that means since these two parts have same wall thicknesses and this holds up most of the weight, we can make the walls on this part a little bit thinner. So I actually have the model right here for that, and if you look closely you can see that the walls on this one are half of the thickness of the other one. So let's see how much we save when we press slice all. So now the estimated filament consumption goes down to less than a kilogram at 973 grams, and the total print time goes down to 1 day, 4 hours and 49 minutes. That means per box we save about 81 grams of filament and a little bit over 2 hours of print time, which means a total filament saving of 1215 grams and a little bit over 34 hours of print time. While this is great, we do need to remember that we want the strongest part possible with the least amount of filament. And first thing we do want to change is the infill pattern, because right now we are using grid infill. Grid infill is not the best for strength. For best balance between strength and print speed, I like to use gyroid. So if we just change the infill pattern to gyroid, we're going to go up in filament use to about 986 grams, and the print time is going to be 1 day, 5 hours and 26 minutes. Which is still way better than the original, and we are willing to make that sacrifice to have a little better strength on the parts. So right now we are at total filament consumption reduction of 1020 grams from the original and more than 25 hours of print time saved for all 15 boxes. So then, to combat the speed issue, we want to use a setting that I basically always use when I'm printing something. It's variable layer height. This changes the layer height based on the model. So if there's a lot of flat parts, it increases the layer height, and if there's more details or slopes, it decreases the layer height. But you can choose, do you want better quality or better speed? And in this case, we want better speed, and also this smooth is helping reduce, for example, those staircases when there's corners or slopes. So we turn quality all the way up and smoothing all the way up, and click on these on every single part. And now let's slice all and let's see what's the difference. Our filament consumption jumped up again a little bit, but we went from 1 day and 5.5 hours to a little bit less than 1 day and 2 hours. That means from the original, the filament consumption is 57 grams less and the print time is 5 hours less. The total saved filament is 855 grams and total print time reduction is 77.5 hours. So the next thing we can do is adjust the top, and if it's separated, also the bottom shell layers. As we discussed earlier, most of the weight is going to be handled by these walls in these boxes, which means this back wall here is not as important and also is going to be plenty strong because it's solid. Then we need to set top shell thickness to 0 so that the actual layer count is determined by this number and not the thickness that is set here. Since the bottom shell layer is at 3 already, we don't have to touch that. So let's slice again and let's see how much filament we saved this time. So now we went down to 955 grams of filament and 1 day, 1 hour and 3 minutes of print time. That means per box we save 99 grams of filament as well as 6 hours. So in total for all 15 boxes, it's going to be a saving of 1485 grams and 91 hours of print time. Now if we compare that to the original filament usage for the whole set of about 15,810 grams and 19 days, 10 hours and 45 minute print time, then our new filament use is going to be 14,325 grams and our new print time 15 days, 15 hours, 45 minutes. So we saved almost 1.5 kilos of filament and almost 4 full days of print time. Now if we see the savings in dollar amounts and we assume that you are using filament that costs 20 per kilo and you have an hourly wage for your printer of 20 per hour, then the 1.5 kilo savings equal to about $30 saved in filament, and the time saves you about 1,800 in dollars. Of course, this is your printer's time, not your time. And of course, this also depends on how much your filament costs, but still the 4 days of print time less is extremely good. So you could say that we saved about $1,850 for the person that I made this rescale for. So if we summarize, the first thing you want to do is observe your model and your use case, and based on those observations you adjust your model. The adjustments, they could be adding more holes or thinning some of the walls or making cuts to places that don't need to be strong. This is where you will have the most power to affect how much print time and filament you save, since all the other changes that you're going to do are going to benefit from this. The second thing is choosing your infill pattern and density. The default is normally 15% and grid infill, but you can use, for example, lightning infill if you don't need any strength, and this is going to create only essential supports for places that need supports. Then if you want a stronger part, you can select something else. For example, trihexagon or honeycomb or gyroid, but by choosing the correct infill for your application, you can save a little bit of filament and print time. The third thing you want to do is use variable layer height. For example, especially for parts like this that have walls that are straight up, they're gonna have a lot of places where you can use higher layer height, which helps you save on speed and doesn't affect the quality almost at all. Also, you can adjust this based on do you want quality or speed. So based on your application, you can select the one that's more important for you. This variable layer height shouldn't affect your filament use basically at all, but it does have an effect on the print speed. And for example, in parts like this, it's gonna make the printing a lot quicker. The fourth thing that we did in this example was adjusting the top and the bottom shell layers. And also I would tie this together with adjusting the number of walls, which we didn't do because we needed the strength, so I just put it at 3. So of course, the less walls and less top and bottom shell layers you have, the less filament you're going to consume and the faster the print is. But you don't want to go too low so that the prints are at least somewhat strong and are not going to be see-through. Maybe a good minimum amount is 2 walls and 2 top and bottom shell layers. The wall loops and top and bottom shell layers, depending on your model, can have a big effect on the strength. So rather than changing the infill from, for example, the default 15% to maybe 50%, I would rather add a wall if I needed the strength. So yeah, that's it. Hopefully those tips help you save some filament, print time, and also money by having your printers running for a little bit less and consuming a little bit less filament. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.